Have you ever tried mixing up your sentiments? Today gets a little bit nutty as we mix up some bold sentiments for Altenew. Hi there, it's time to take two with Therese, and I've got two fun cards to share with you. I'm mixing up sentiments to create my own bespoke sentiment. I've done this a few times before, but what I've done here is actually grab out my Altenew alphabet sets, my Altenew alphabet dies, my Altenew alphabet sentiments, and just a few of the larger sentiment sets, and kind of thought about what I'd like to sort of put together and what might go well together. I've already worked out what I want to say on my card, and the first one actually is going to say, "Go nuts, it's your birthday." And I want to have the same colour theme through both my cards. So to create my own coloured cardstock, I decided to use the ink blending tool and some of the Altenew inks. You can use any colour combination that you like, but I thought that the blue, orange and grey would work really well for either a masculine or children's card, and that's what I'm kind of going for today. So these are the pieces of cardstock that I'm going to cut my sentiments out of. When I was choosing my sentiments today, I wanted to kind of mix it up enough to make them the real statement on my card. So the main thing today on these cards is the actual sentiments themselves. And even though the images aren't the main focal point on the card, this is a really great way and a fun way to use images on your card designs. Alright, so I've been flicking through all those stamp and die sets, and I chose out the Happy Birthday die, and I just want to use the word birthday. Now, because this is a scripty sort of sentiment, I thought it'd be nice to have more of a block style sentiment to go with it. And I'm going to mix up the blue and the orange on each card. So when the birthday is die cut in the blue, that means I'm going to die cut the word nuts in orange. And I'm using more of a block style die, and I want this to be a fairly similar size to the birthday, even though it is slightly smaller. I think that it flows really well through the card design. To pop up my sentiments, my die cut sentiments, I have actually die cut them a second time in some fun foam, added some matte medium, and then just popped the die cut, the coloured die cut on top, and I do set that aside to dry for a couple of minutes while I'm futzing about here with the rest of the card design. So I've got the thick and thin alpha stamp set, and I'm just working out the layout of the rest of the sentiment so that I can get the placement correct on my cardstock when I'm stamping. And I used both the thick and the thin sentiments here, and grey and also some black ink, and I like the way that that looked. Now this is dried a little bit now, so I can actually remove the fun foam away from the die cut, and I find if I remove it too quickly, then the die cut cardstock separates from the fun foam. I don't like to leave it too long, because then the glue can sometimes show around the edges, and I don't like that either. So you have to just get it just right. And because I just want the birthday portion of the sentiment, I'm simply just going to cut away the pieces where it joins to the word happy and try and make that as neat as I can. You can draw along it with a pencil and then cut away, but I just winged it. So I've got a piece of 80-pound Nina cardstock here, and I've added some, I thought I'd try a bit of post-it note here to try and help me stamp my sentiment out straight. It didn't really help. It was a little bit crooked. But I don't think, because it ends up being quite a busy card, I don't think you really notice it in the end. If I had kept the card really clean and simple, that might have made a difference. But I used the black ink for the thin alpha, and then the more solid alpha I used a dark grey. And this is the reason for the sentiments. This is the Chipmunk and Squirrel stamps. There's a whole stamp set. It's really cute, and I thought I'd do some almost no line colouring here. I've stamped them in the grey and just done some really light Prismacolor pencil colouring here, and I have actually listed all the colours that I've used at my blog, but you could use whatever pencils you have. You could even colour it with some markers if you prefer, and I think they look really cute, even watercoloured. On the little, I'm going to say chipmunk, I did actually use the black marker to put the eyes and nose in. I felt that looked too dark, so when I was colouring the squirrel, I actually did the eyes and mouth with the dark pencil, with like a really dark grey pencil, and I think that looked much better. I didn't do any blending with some Gamsol, anything like that. I just wanted the texture of the pencil to make these critters look really cute. So just grabbing one image of something and colouring it for a card and then making the sentiment your highlight is a really easy and fun way to get more out of your image stamps, and a great way I think for a masculine or teenage card too, which we always can struggle with. I know, I do anyway. I wanted to use this Modern Circles stencil here today, and I am using the big blending tool just to quickly add some colour, and I've used the three same colours again, the blue, the grey and orange. And it's a great stencil, this one, because you can flip it around and actually cover the whole front of the card. I don't want to use the whole stencil, but it really didn't take very long to colour, and that's what I'm really enjoying about these ink blending tools from Altenew. And this is the first time I've used this stencil, and I really like that graphic design that it has. Initially I was going to go with just showing the stencil around the very edge of the card, so I'd like to know if you think I should have stayed with that plan, because I didn't. I changed it up and die cut. This is a rounded rectangles out of the center, because I was going to keep that center because I'll make that into a tag, or you know, like a gift tag or something like that. But once I'd done that, I couldn't help myself. I had to actually use that instead of just having that very small portion. I actually used that on the card. I've attached it to the front of a top fold card, and then to pop my letters onto the card front, I'm just using my matte medium again, because it just gives me that little bit of wriggle room to get the letters lined up nice and straight. And if I did scooch it out the side like I did with the birthday, I dropped it in the wrong spot, I can just wipe away the bits of excess glue with my craft knife, and I know it's going to dry matte and not sticky. It's going to have a matte finish and not be sticky. Two good things. And I did pop that little chipmunk up on the top. So my second card, it's very similar, so this won't take anywhere near as long. This is going to be really quick. I did the same thing again. I just went through the dies. I didn't do any stamped sentiments this time. I've got the simple alpha die, the brush alpha die, which is this nice blue one I did nuts out of, and then I also die cut the "You Are Loved" sentiment. For the word "you," I just wanted to use the word "you," so I did have to cut that away, and I did exactly the same as I did last time. All of these are popped up on fun foam, and they're going to go, I've got a side fold portrait card this time, and I want to stamp a bit of a background behind it using the halftone circles and the same inks again. These halftone circles come in two different styles. This is the one that has the darker center in the middle and it lightens out, so when I chose my circles I made sure to choose the similar circles out of the set, and I just scattered them on the background. And then this squirrel is actually holding a donut, which is not going to go with my sentiment, which is going to say nuts about you. It's not donuts about you, it's nuts about you. I could have probably done donuts about you. I didn't think of that till just now. But anyway, so I wanted to be holding a little acorn nut, and to do that I just cut his arm away from his body a little bit, and then I could just slip the nut in behind his arm. This time I tried the metal ruler, and I think that worked much better for me to line up my sentiment. It was much straighter until I got to the blue sentiment. But don't worry, I did actually straighten that up in the end. So I do hope this video has given you some ideas to use your sentiment stamps and sentiment dies, alphabet stamps, alphabet dies, and a cute little image. Think of a fun, punny sentiment that you can go with your images, and the world is your oyster. You can do so many different wonderful things. So if you did like this video, please click on the thumbs up button to let us know that you did. And if you haven't already, it'd be great if you could subscribe to the channel. I'll be back again real soon. Till next time, bye.